Sweetheart.
No one.
What's up, Gator Nation? Welcome to the latest Gators Online show. Zach Albaverdi, Nick Del Torre here. Hope everybody has enjoyed their week, and we've got a lot to get into on today's show. At first, we'll be joined by On3 Sam Spiegelman to talk five-star quarterback DJ Lagway. Sam was out there at his practice this week and blessed the timeline with some videos of DJ at practice. We'll also get into the latest, sticking with the quarterback position, on Graham Mertz, that we got to hear from Billy Napier this week on his spring speaking tour. And then last but certainly not least, we will talk some transfer portal and the latest on that front. Nick, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing well. Have the in-laws in town, and looking forward to a great baseball series. Stay tuned to the last 5 minutes of the show for the baseball segment.
Yeah, it's crazy that we've gotten to the end of the season, regular season already, man. But it's a fun one, obviously, with Vandy coming to town. This is, I know, a matchup fans look forward to all season. So we'll end with that, but we're going to start with Sam Spiegelman, who's on the road right now, making his way around. I don't even know what state he's in. Sam, where are you at right now, man?
I'm in Texas today. I'll be back in the booth tomorrow afternoon, I think.
That's awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you taking some time out to join us. Obviously, this has been a busy time of year with the spring evaluation period going on, and you've been all over the country, all over different states, going to see these kids. And this week, you had the pleasure of going to see five-star quarterback DJ Lagway. Sam, let folks know in Gator Nation what you saw from DJ, and I know you blessed the timeline this week with some of those videos.
Yeah, DJ, I was joking with DJ. He had put out some film last week, and you have to remember that DJ's junior season ended a little bit short. He had I believe it was an ankle injury that they were just a little bit cautionary with. So he started rehabbing it right after the season, right around the time he wound up committing to Florida, as you guys know. So this spring has just kind of been seeing, like, let's see where DJ is with his development. And as you guys saw a little bit on the timeline, I have so much video on my phone that doesn't even do it justice of what he looks like going into his senior year. This is probably one of my favorite parts of spring visits, is always to check on the top quarterbacks that are in my area. DJ is unquestionably that guy for me in 2024. And he looks so sharp. First of all, obviously we are still in NFL draft season in the aftermath. And for all the same reasons we were talking about Anthony Richardson, we have to love what you're getting in DJ Lagway. But here's the thing is, a lot of the things is he doesn't have experience for Anthony Richardson at the college level, yada, yada, yada. You guys have already talked about it being into the pulp. DJ, a lot of those issues, he has those insane traits, and he's also a very polished product. Yeah, at the Elite 11 regional, On3 was there, and he was a little bit off. That's going to happen on certain days in windy and rainy conditions. But it was a little bit rainy on Tuesday when I was out there in Willis. He was stroking it, guys. He throws with precision. He is on time. He is sharp. He's got a beautiful dart that for a long ball. I mean, honestly, it reminds me a lot of when I saw Quinn Ewers. As a junior, as a senior, the kind of immense arm talent. But the thing about DJ, that he can have all the arm talent and physical gifts in the world. His character is unquestionably through the roof. His character speaks volumes. He must have introduced me to 5 or 6 of his teammates, some guys that I've already came there to see before. He still wants to put his teammates first. He doesn't want to miss a beat of warm-ups, of breaking down a huddle, of trying to help the quarterbacks or receivers or anyone around him. He's promoting his teammates. He's also pumping them up after they drop a pass or run a wrong route. The practice centers around DJ and that gravitas. I think it's through the roof with this kid.
What Florida? You're hyping Florida fans up. They're gonna be trying to get him on campus for August 31st. Maybe fly him out to Salt Lake City for that season opener. But before we get into a little bit more of that, I want to ask you a question. You've seen him in person. How many slants are you catching? Because DJ's got some speed. He played baseball for a little while. He's got a fastball. Sam Spiegelman, how many slants, 5-yard slants, are you catching out of the arm, out of the hand of DJ Lagway?
Me? Okay.
You
if
personally.
we're gonna put a number on it, if DJ's targeting
10 throws.
boy Sam, who I would say, and also his favorite analyst, so he is going to be on the money.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing, I see the gloves that these kids are wearing, the battle gloves. I'm getting the rival athletics gloves. I'm getting 4. I'm getting at least 4.
Okay.
I might go. The over under is 4.5, I think, but I go with 4.5.
Now Sam's an athletic guy, Nick.
Yeah, I said 7 for myself, and I don't think people believe me. But like you, I'm putting my faith in DJ to put it right where it needs to be.
The ball's gonna be there. It's whether your hands are gonna be sore after the first couple of tosses, and you're gonna hold on for the.
Well,
You're
I'm
right.
not gonna...
might need to start off catching 4 in a row before a broken finger. I remember looking at like Donald Driver's hands after playing with Brett Favre for a while, and they look mangled.
And I'm not gonna go ahead and shoot the bird at the camera, but my middle finger was broken trying to catch a football for my brother. So I'm not gonna step into a pass coming from DJ. On that note, Sam, how much better have you seen just his throwing motion? I mean, his release is amazing. The spin that he puts on the ball, how much has that just gotten better over the years? And where's he at right now, given all the camps and the time that he's put in?
Yeah, when I was around Willis last summer, he was getting ready for his junior season. It was a whole new offense that he was kind of digesting and really kind of learning. And at that point, his focus was sharpening that delivery, getting the ball out faster, and again, being more accurate, which was a concern early on. When you're a quarterback that's getting recruited as DJ was from the time you're a freshman, it's not that everyone doesn't develop, at their own pace. It's that everyone's eyes are on you as you're developing. But yeah, like kind of what you're saying, watching him throw on Tuesday, he looked like a robot. He was so mechanical. He was so sharp. He's got his feet moving. He's got a smooth delivery. The ball's coming out smooth. There's a couple of throws here and there. He's not perfect. Like I said, it was a little bit rainy, and he's trying to throw to as many receivers as possible. But I think for going into his senior year, I mean, the way he's rolling out and analyzing the field, he knows where he wants to go, and he's putting the ball on his money. I think he just has a really good feel for the routes that are involved in his offense right now. The timing, it seems to be just so smooth. Like I said, the biggest issue is some of the receivers just dropping passes. I think that he's in for first of all, he had an incredible junior season. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but they were pretty phenomenal because I know I included them in his Florida commitment story that y'all promoted so well. But I can almost assure you that going into his senior year, I think he's going to set the bar high for expectations. I'm afraid to even ask him what he's expecting of himself, let alone his team. But I guarantee that he comes close, and if not, he exceeds them, because that's been DJ Lagway's MO through and through for the last going on 4 years.
I try not to hype up recruits too much. There's some stories of 5 stars that don't pan out, things like that. But to me, Sam, with the intangibles, and I've seen that firsthand, how he kind of props his teammates up, what he is as just one of the guys. Like, he's clearly the guy at Willis, but he tries to be just one of the guys in that locker room. And with his physical talents, is this someone that Florida can build a program around? Can Billy Napier, can this be the centerpiece, not only for this 2024 recruiting class, but a franchise player type of person for Billy Napier to build off of and build a program at Florida around?
Right, and that's a great question, and I appreciate the context as well. It's very smart, because I know that the people listening don't know who I am. I'm not a hyperbolic person. I am an old person, and I am a curmudgeon, and Zach can attest to this. He's known me for a very long period of time. So I don't hype up any recruit. I happen to have had a backseat pass to DJ Lagway the last few years. And the off the field character, the fact that he's the face of a small community out there in Willis, and there's a lot riding on his shoulders every single day, let alone on Friday nights. And what he does on Saturdays in Gainesville is going to be the front page news in the Willis Gazette or whatever the local paper is over there, because DJ has flourished in this. It's almost he put it to me once a couple of months ago that he kind of dreamt about this as a kid, and he's kind of living it through right now. And there's a couple of quarterbacks that have rubbed me the right way over the years, and I have to say that DJ has arguably the most infectious personality of all of them. I do think he is going to be a future first round pick. Obviously, there's a lot that's going to have to come on the field before that. This is all projection, of course, based on traits. But when you talk about the combination of what he's a 6'3", 220-pound quarterback. Right now, he's probably about 215 pounds. He looks a little thin. It probably
he looks like he's slimmed down.
Yeah, a little bit. I saw him in April, and he's probably lost about 5 pounds. I think it's just him getting back into shape. He looks so good. His work ethic is through the roof. He just checks every box. If you think about it from an NFL draft perspective or a college football franchise player perspective, he's got the physical gifts, check. He's got the personality, check. He's got the drive, check. He's got the character, check. And he's got the energy that I think people, like, you see it the way he recruits kids. You see it the way his teammates root and rally around him. People want to play with him and they want to win with him. And I do think that Billy Napier hit the jackpot. I think that, Dylan Raiola carries a lot of that juice. I'm not as close with Dylan, but his physical gifts are obviously through the roof. But I think in terms of the total package, there's few like that in the country and maybe that I've ever covered that have it in spades like DJ Lagway.
And with that being said, as we speak with On3 Sam Spiegelman, Sam, that as locked in as DJ has been with Florida, I have to think there's going to be a few schools that do not give up on this guy. What is your sense for that? Do you feel like anything could even sway him from the Gators, depending on how the season plays out, or other schools continue to come after him, or what's your sense for just how locked in he is with Florida?
Yeah, it's funny because the schools that he committed to Florida over, USC and Clemson, are both still kind of in that quarterback market looking for their guy in this 2024 class. And, there was USC made a serious run with DJ, especially as the decision was coming up. It seemed like Lincoln Riley had kind of put himself in a position to get another, future potential first round pick. And, the Texas A&M, and they hired a new offensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino, who loves dual threat quarterbacks who have that ability to beat you with their elite arms, but also, as a runner. And DJ does that at an extremely high level. I'm sure Texas A&M would love to keep the Willis product, from right outside of Houston home. And Clemson, again, has struck out on guys like Jaden Davis and DJ Lagway and Walker White. And very rare to talk about Clemson in this category, right? This is uncharted territory for the Tigers right now. But from what I've gathered the last couple of months, according to the basic plan that the Lagways, and not only DJ but his entire family, have had going in when they made their decision. At first they were going to do it this spring, but they moved up that timeline because they started to get that hunch that it was going to be Florida during that string of visits to the swamp during the season. They've obviously been back this spring, and I think DJ is really encouraged. I don't think he has too grandiose expectations for this season. I don't think that's really a factor for him, because from his eyes, this is Billy Napier's first full class, because this is me saying it, of course, that DJ is a part of it. Florida didn't sign a quarterback like DJ Lagway last year. I can assure you of that. And the way that they're recruiting this 2024 class, obviously they have a top 5 class already. There's a lot of moving pieces that could even elevate it beyond that. But with DJ Lagway, this is Billy Napier's building block. I've known him a long time, since he was at UL, and I thought he kind of changed the whole landscape of recruiting here in Louisiana. I say that as I'm driving through Waco, of course. But Lagway represents that future building block. I think he is that piece, and he's going to check all the boxes. I think there is a lot of reasons for Florida fans to be hyped. I'm not just hyping him up because I'm crazy. He is that dude in Willis, and I think he's going to be that dude in Florida based on all the evidence he's shown the last several years.
Driving through Waco, any stop at Magnolia Farms, wherever the Chip and Joe call it?
You sound like my wife and my mother-in-law. So
yeah, well, listen, if you're in Waco and you don't bring something home from Chip and Joe, I feel like you're in the doghouse. You might want to just keep driving and head back to Texas.
I have a Biddy and Bo's coffee cup that I got. I thought that would be a good souvenir. Apparently, the Magnolia Farms was the right move that I failed to do.
Yeah, might want to pull over in Waco.
might want to make a U-turn.
Yeah, I'm not married yet, but I've been told many times, happy wife, happy life. Might want to U-turn in Waco. Sam, I think you've become the Gator Nation's new favorite national recruiting writer.
Yes.
Just this short segment. Speaking about DJ, but I think you and I are kind of on the same page. And I mean, you've seen sometimes guys are great prospects and it just doesn't pan out, and you don't want to hype guys. But in my interactions with DJ, I think I've gotten that same kind of sense of, obviously you turn on his huddle and you see what he can do, or you're out at his practice and you see it with your own eyes. But I think it's just the quality of person that his parents have raised that really stands out to me. And I think you've kind of been speaking to that.
Yeah, no, I second that. He's handled it. It all starts with the family, of course. His dad is one of the sweetest guys in the world. And I think you guys know this, but them trekking from Willis, Texas down to Gainesville, Florida with a bus full of his teammates just so they get the experience to know what it feels like to get recruited, because they happen to have one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks, if not the best, in the whole country in their little hometown, and they've made the most of it. And I think it's, at the end of the day, it's just a great story about a couple of teenagers, and, in our business, that's kind of what you root for.
No doubt. Some big news that came out this week, Sam. Jeremiah Smith, the nation's #1 receiver and an Ohio State commit, has scheduled his official visit with Florida, but the significance of it is that he's coming the same weekend as DJ Lagway. You've talked about his impact already on this class and just his personality and kind of how that rubs off on guys. Just how much of an impact do you feel like he can not only have that weekend, but just in general as we really get into the heat of it now with recruiting once we get to these official visits in the summer?
And were you surprised at all that DJ was actually in Willis and not in Gainesville when you showed up to the school?
Well, as you know, Nick, DJ kept me abreast of where he would be and when practice would be, and he even kept an eye on the radar on my way up to Willis to make sure that everything went according to plan. So yes, I was a little surprised, but I'm not surprised that DJ made it work. But to Zach's question, listen, DJ is the face of this class, and I don't think Jeremiah Smith would be taking an official visit to Florida. DJ Lagway, Miami to the. He's very solid to Brian Hartline and Ohio State, but if there's a team that's going to make a move, you have to look at a team like Georgia, like Alabama, and a team like Florida because of DJ Lagway. DJ said that's obviously one of his guys. They've already been to the Swamp together, and that first weekend of June is shaping up to be their biggest recruiting weekend of the summer. DJ's obviously going to be taking his OV there that weekend as well. And listen, there's a kid, Dalen Evans, who's an early commitment to Texas A&M, but Texas A&M is going to have their work cut out because word on the street is that Florida has really made inroads with Evans. He's an on 300 defensive lineman, and again, he's going to also be a part of that big June 2nd recruiting weekend for the Gators. And down the stretch, yeah, DJ, I mean, not to keep being redundant, but DJ committed, and this was, again, he's always had a vision for his recruitment. His recruitment might be shut off, but he is not done recruiting these guys. And we're talking about Jeremiah Smith, the #1 receiver in the country. We're talking about Dalen Evans, a 4-star blue chip defensive lineman committed in-state to the Aggies. But DJ has his foot in the door with a lot of kids, not just in the state of Texas, not just in the in between those states. He's always known that people are going to want to play with him, just like his teammates are going to want to play with him. And he's using that to his advantage. He's using that personality and that energy and that drive, and it's infectious. So I think he's going to be back again in the. So I don't know if he'll be able to make as many trips, especially if Willis makes a deep playoff run during the season. But I guarantee when those big blue chippers are on campus, DJ won't be too far behind.
No doubt. And final question for you, Sam. You had a piece that came out of your visit to DJ, and I encourage all Florida fans to go read it. And that was 5-star quarterback DJ Lagway loves the direction of Florida and Billy Napier's program. How did that conversation go? And obviously, what do you feel like he sees as his future there with Billy, with Ryan O'Hara, and what they were able to do with Anthony Richardson, who we talked about to start, turning that guy from a quarterback who'd only started one game and helped him develop into a first-round pick this past season.
Yeah, Ryan O'Hara and Joe Hamilton are two of the coaches that deserve a ton of credit for really opening DJ's eyes to Florida in the first place. I mean, we talked about some of these options that he's looking at. You're looking at USC and Lincoln Riley and the quarterback guru, right? How many number 1 overall picks has this guy put in the league? You think DJ doesn't know that? And then you're looking at Dabo Sweeney, who, again, in his own right, has whispered a couple of quarterbacks and is a man of faith, which, Nick and Zach, I'm sure you both can attest to. So DJ comes from a family of faith. So this was a massive win for Billy Napier. That's, to have DJ on board like this. He's known about Anthony Richardson probably before a lot of these NFL draft nicks knew about Anthony Richardson. Their eyes were a little bit more open for the season opener and what he did last year. But DJ has been a little bit more akin to that. And he's been around I asked that question because he's just been around the program so much, seeing Anthony Richardson last fall, then making his decision. But really the fact that he was back out there so much again this spring for spring practice and the spring game, he's really, soaking it all in. I joke with him, it started with like the frat and the sorority houses, grabbing his attention. But, now it's about the coaches, and he's still building those relationships. Like I said, Ryan O'Hara and Joe Hamilton are kind of the guys at the forefront, but he's still really getting close with Billy Napier. And I think that relationship ultimately will end up being the strongest when it's all said and done. But, he knows that Billy Napier has a vision for this offense. We know what he did at UL, and we know what he did last year, and giving Anthony Richardson a large enough sample size to get where he wanted to be, which is the 4th pick in the draft. And, we're talking about that with a couple of question marks about Richardson's game, about his experience and, some parts of his, physical game, about his accuracy and whatnot. Well, I think that the way that Florida has set it up, and Billy Napier and the staff over there in Gainesville has set it up for Lagway to compete going into his freshman year. Will he start? No one knows. That's a question for us to digress for next summer. But he's going to have an opportunity to be on campus and be around the program and compete with those guys, and at least have his name in the hat for that job, which is all that he's asked for. And not even asked for, is one of the things he was searching for in his recruitments. And Billy Napier has been a man of his word and kept to that. And I think that he's going to have the chance, whether that's year 1 or at least year 2, to make an impact for the Gators. And that's going to put DJ in a position to be, hopefully the number 4 pick in the draft when he's ready, if not higher.
No doubt. Well, listen, man, we're very fortunate that we had a chance to be joined by you, Sam. Like I said, you blessed the timeline this week. You came through on our Swamp Talk message board, and I think even one of our posters put the meme out there. You dropped this king, trying to hand you your crown. So kudos to all the work that you've been doing, man. We really appreciate following along with all your coverage, and let all the folks know where they can follow you and read your work.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Sam Speaks, on Instagram, doing a lot more DJ stuff. That's my guy. So Sam Speaks on 3 on Instagram. And let me not forget to thank you guys for keeping me occupied on this drive. But these Florida fans are blessed to have you two, Nick and Zach. This is my first time getting on air with Nick, but I've known Zach forever, and you're the 2 best that cover the Gators in the entire country. I just appreciate getting to hang out with you guys a little bit.
Listen,
I appreciate that.
No doubt, man. We're
Absolutely.
looking forward to when we all get together for a summit or something in Nashville. I don't think the city's ready for us, Sam.
I was just thinking about our last trip to the opening in Oregon. The last time we got to really hang out and get after it. So yeah, I think Nashville sounds like it would be a close second.
I just did my bachelor party in Nashville. Zach, they can definitely handle you. Nashville can handle you, Zach.
Oh, I threw mine in Nashville as well. It's a great city.
Yeah. Might as well be bachelorette parties, with what it looks like on Broadway. But Sam, we really enjoyed having you on. We'd like to have you on again to make sure that happens. You got to get back to Waco, find Magnolia Farms. If there's no branded cup, mug, planner, calendar, something, I fear for your safety when you get home. So handle your business there, Sam.
I know you're not wrong. Thanks, guys.
No doubt, man. Appreciate it, Sam. Take care, bud. That was great. Really great to be joined by Sam Spiegs and and hear all that he's had to say about DJ. And it was great. Not only the highlights that he put out, Nick, but the latest video that he put where he was like slow-moing the ball and you could see where it was, where DJ was kind of dropping those dimes, man. It was it's impressive. He's a 5-star for a reason. And as we know, he's kind of Florida's future. Yeah,
and obviously, I mean, the comparisons to Anthony Richardson are going to be there, to Cam Newton, DJ's size, his running ability, his arm talent is going to put him in that conversation. And not to say these other guys don't have this off the field stuff. And you and I can both speak to Anthony Richardson as a person, but to hear Sam talk about DJ and what he is as a teammate, and DJ can go anywhere in the country, and that program will open its doors to him and roll out a red carpet. But to jump on a bus and go with his teammates who aren't at that same level of being recruited the way he is shows that, yes, he is the man. He's not just the man in that locker room. He's the man in that town, as Sam put it. And to not get big-headed or to look down on your teammates. You've got a kid who maybe is 5'8" and just happy to have a jersey and be on the football team dropping passes. And it's not, hey man, you're ruining my season. It's hey, you got to get that next rep. It speaks volumes just to the person that DJ Lagway is and the kind of person that Florida is going to be getting in him. And then on the field, this is someone you're building a program around. I put out a couple stories and talked a lot on the message board about my expectations for the wins and loss column this year. If you get DJ Lagway to campus, I don't care what your wins and losses are this year. You're building a program, and that's going to take some time.
No doubt. So
and credit, last thing on this, and credit to Billy Napier. You got DJ Lagway to commit to you over Lincoln Riley, who his resume is first overall picks, Heisman,
picks. Plural,
first overall picks, Heisman's, college football playoff appearances. Billy Napier's resume right now is UL
and Anthony Richardson,
6 and 7 at Florida. It wasn't even Anthony Richardson when DJ Lagway committed to him.
Yeah, he hadn't gone 4th overall yet.
Hadn't even done that yet. So Billy Napier is still building that resume, and DJ Lagway, I think, my opinion, is going to be part of that resume.
Yeah.
But credit to Billy Napier, Ryan O'Hara,
Joe Hamilton.
Joe Hamilton probably gets way less credit than he deserves.
Man.
Joe's the dude picking DJ up from the airport. That's Houston born, Houston bred, Texas guys. That makes you feel like home when you get to Gainesville, to have someone like Big Joe on campus picking you up and hanging with you. So credit to them, but they're selling a future. Lincoln Riley, Dabo Sweeney are selling
proof in the pudding. Yeah.
Proof in the pudding. And so the job to win DJ Lagway, to sell him on a vision, you can't say enough about the job that Billy, Joe, and Ryan and everyone that's involved in recruiting did surrounding DJ.
No doubt. And it's one of the, I think the things that's got folks looking forward to the future, and definitely, signs of encouragement, because we've seen the impacts that's had on the recruiting trail. So we will continue to follow Lagway's recruitment and obviously keep up with all the things on the trail. And not only have we had Sam on the road, but Keith Niebuhr's been tearing it up, with Corey covering recruiting. I mean, we got it all at Gators Online. So definitely encourage you guys to not only check out that, but all the stuff on our national front from guys like Sam. So before we switch gears, I want to give a shout out to our first sponsor, Prairie Dental Center. And this episode is brought to you by them. The doctor is a UF grad who's practiced in Gainesville for 3 decades and has developed a deep understanding of how to diagnose and treat various dental problems, along with advanced skills and knowledge to provide more effective and efficient care to his patients. If you're having dental concerns or just need a cleaning, Prairie Dental Center offers a wide range of personalized care options to meet your individual needs. Give their office a call at 352-373-3431. Tell them Gators Online sent you, and your new patient exam will be free. And as we stick with the quarterbacks, coming off of our conversation about DJ Lagway, as Billy Napier hit the road this week for his spring speaking tour, he was asked about the quarterback battle, like he is at pretty much every single stop. That's always a topic of conversation. And, he had a few comments that he made about it, and you can go read it at Gators Online, and appreciate Keith Niebuhr for going out to the Panhandle and getting these quotes for us. And, the story is few Power 5 quarterbacks have more career starts than Florida's Graham Mertz. And that was something that Billy pointed out prior to his speech in Panama City Beach. And, what he said in talking about the quarterbacks, he kind of dropped this really noteworthy stat. And what he said was Graham's a very experienced player. The guy started 32 football games. I don't know if there's another quarterback in the country that's got 32 starts. I'm excited about him and his experience. I don't know about you, Nick. I had not even realized that or thought of that before he said it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of games. There's probably a lot of quarterbacks, if they've started 32 games and they've been really good, that they're not starting their 33rd because they're going to be playing on Sundays. There's many ways to look at that. You have great experience coming back to lead an offense. You could look at it in a different light and, well, why are you still in college? So there's different ways to look at it. I think you can't fake experience, though. It's something where if you have a freshman quarterback that comes in, you're on the job learning. Graham Mertz already has job experience, so it is a positive, and something that Billy Napier has continued to harp on all offseason. I mean, yes. The first time we talked on signing day when Graham Mertz was announced, it was, look at the experience he has, and I get it, but to steal a baseball analogy, and Florida has senior day this week. The transfer portal and COVID has kind of changed a bunch of things with baseball, but Florida will have 8 seniors this year, and that's the most Florida's ever had since I've been covering the team for 11 years. Why? Well, baseball players leave after their junior year and they go to the majors or to the minors. So there's a reason why Florida's been so good and hasn't had a lot of seniors.
Yeah, and that is a good point too. And I think that, when Billy said that, I hadn't really thought about it. So I said, well, let me go look this up, because I had to think, well, there's definitely some that have started more games than him, and I knew some off the top of my head. But after doing some research, there are only 6 quarterbacks in the nation that have made more Power 5 starts than Graham Mertz. So some guys, to Nick's point, that fall in this category of, why aren't you already gone? Because what's interesting about every single one of these guys, including Graham Mertz, is that they're all transfers. Oregon's Bo Nix, Notre Dame's Sam Hartman, LSU's Jaden Daniels, Ole Miss's Spencer Sanders, who might not even start for the Rebels. Oklahoma's Dylan Gabriel, and BYU's Kenan Slovis. Every single one of those guys have been transfers, and they've all started more games than Graham. But that's it. There's only 9 quarterbacks that have made 30 or more career starts at Power 5 schools. So it's a short crop there. And I think for a lot of Florida fans, and we've already kind of gotten to this a lot on the show, Nick, but for a lot of Florida fans that have been, calling for and wanting Florida to go get another signal caller, like we just said, there's 9 that have 30 or more starts. Like, I think that's what Florida was looking for: a Sam Hartman, a Graham Mertz, somebody that was going to come in that was that type of veteran. And there's just not a lot of guys out there, and not many that trump what Graham has done in terms of his experience.
Yeah, I said that to somebody probably a week ago now. What you seek is not available in the transfer portal. And I forget the guy's name, the guy from Nebraska that just committed to FAU. Obviously, Tom Herman's at FAU. He's going to FAU. But there were just more Jack Millers and more Graham Mertzes in the transfer portal. There wasn't a clear, better, head and shoulders better option. And then you're considering, okay, well, if you bring somebody in, when did they get here? June? July, August, you've got essentially 60 days for them to learn playbook, learn the system, learn the expectations, build a relationship with the offensive line, the receivers, their teammates, and beat out somebody in Jack Miller who has been here for going on 2 years, or Graham Mertz, who went through a full spring camp. Caleb Williams was not in the transfer portal. Drake
although he transferred as well.
Drake May was not in the transfer portal. The guys that you would look at and say that's a clear step up from what Florida has were not available. The big hot topic everyone loved, Malik Murphy, going to be back up at Texas, did not go into the transfer portal. Pratt at Tulane, who's someone who Florida had interest in, never entered the transfer portal. So it was fun answering those questions for a long time, but there was nothing clearly better in the transfer portal available in this second window.
Now, I'm going to ask Negative Nick to leave the room. He cannot make an appearance in this segment. We need a comment, but we need Positive Nick to show up here.
Relief.
I want you to put on a hat, because I had a phone call from a friend this week. Shout out to my guy Chuck. And he's just asking me about Graham. And he's talking about the offense. He's talking about replacing AR. And we're having a discussion. And we've alluded to this before, right? But I think out the gate, it's important to say, and it's obvious to say, there is a lot that you're losing with Anthony Richardson that you're not going to get replaced.
Wait. You asked me to be positive, and this is how
I'm
you're
leading. I'm just getting this out of the gate. So people can't pull this and take what we're about to say out of context. Out of the gate, I'm saying there's a lot, from the athleticism to the playmaking ability, to, I think, his impact on the team. I think a lot of guys rallied around AR. There's so many things, right? He is a generational talent. There's nobody out of all these guys that we were talking about among the portal that you could have plugged in there that were going to measure up to Anthony. It just wasn't going to happen. With that being said, what is something that Florida could benefit from with Mertz as their starter that maybe they didn't have last year with AR? And I think the one thing that, and probably the only thing you can hang your hat on, is the experience. And I think that I remember, and Nick, you can attest to this, how many times we heard Billy say during the offseason and then into the fall camp and into the season, Anthony is still learning how to be a starting quarterback. He is still learning how to go through the week. He's still learning how to prepare. He's still learning this, da, 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 da. He said that countless times. That, quite frankly, is just something that Graham is not having to learn this year. That process is something that he already knows what it takes. Now, it's new for him at Florida, but he knows what it takes to be a starter. Some of the growing pains that Anthony went through against Kentucky, against USF early in the season, the same growing pains Graham should not go through. Now, he might struggle, and he may not be able to do things that Anthony could do as an athlete, but he's not going to have the growing pains that Anthony had. And with that being said, whether it's check downs, getting Florida out of a bad play, calling an audible, executing in the red zone, being better on third down, hitting your check down. These are all things that I think Anthony had to progress with as the season went on. Are those some things that Graham will be able to do well right away? We're going to find out. But I want to ask you, not negative, Nick, what do you see as some benefits that Florida's offense could have right out of the gate, maybe at Utah, with a guy in Graham being behind center?
Yeah, experience. That's it. Like, it's a credit to him. Everyone talked about in the offseason, man, this guy, first one in, last one out. It's like, yeah, he has to. You have to. He spent 4 years in an offensive system, and now he's at a different place where he doesn't know the people and doesn't know the offense or the terminology. You can not be the first guy in and last guy out, and then you can be the second guy on the bench watching somebody else play. Like, if you wanted to come in and start and play, those are the things you had to do. So to me, the only thing that he has over Anthony Richardson is experience. Everyone, Florida fans that I see are like, well, he'll be able to hit that 6-yard slant or that out. And I'm like, his completion percentage went down every single year as a starter from 2020 to 21 and to 22. So, like, is he more accurate than Anthony? Maybe. But he's not going to run the ball for an 80-yard touchdown when you had a bad play or there was a great coverage. Anthony was able to erase mistakes by an offensive lineman by jumping, pirouetting, doing a 360, and finding a receiver who ran the wrong route in the back of the end zone for a 2-point conversion, which helps you beat Utah.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that. You're going to have a solid offensive line that stays healthy, that allows you to run the ball predominantly to make your offense go. And you don't have a quarterback with Anthony Richardson's athletic ability to make the defense play 11 on 11, which they had to last year, which helps the running game significantly. So now without that, the defense doesn't have to key in on the quarterback every play. That allows one more guy to focus on the running game, which Florida will have to lean on. So, to me, Graham Mertz's experience as a starter is the one area where he has a leg up on Anthony Richardson, the one area where Florida will have a leg up at that position this year.
I think another thing that I would potentially say is right away the poise that should be there from Graham and some of the just mental. And when I say that, you remember, Nick, in that game against Kentucky, what happened to Anthony Richardson? He lost it mentally. I mean, as much as he was inexperienced, as much it was his first SEC start at home, more than anything, I think in his head, a lot of things got to him. One thing that we know, and I, he said this in my sit down interview with him, was that he was worried about his stock. Let's just call it like it is. That's not something Graham's going to be worried about this year. He's not thinking about, trying to go first round. But I also think that just some of dealing with the pressure that Anthony felt as the hometown kid of trying to wear the Superman cape and just learning how to like get off of that and just play football and just be Ant. Again, that's something that Graham, as a mature 3-year starter, those things shouldn't be going on with him mentally. And that,
but also in Anthony's defense too is Jack Miller getting that thumb injury meant there was nobody behind Anthony. And then he got rolled up on the second play and gets his ankle rolled up on.
Yeah.
So now it's not like, okay, I want to show that I'm a better passer than Will Levis because that's going to help my draft stock. It's I already got rolled up on first passing play, second play of the game, or third play of the game. First passing play of the game, I get rolled up on. My ankle hurts. If I get hurt, now it's Jalen Kitna or a true freshman Max Brown playing for forever long I'm out. And I don't know that Anthony or Billy have spoken to that, but that changed the way games were called and game plans were drawn up the rest of the year. Jalen Kitna was not ready to play for Florida. Max Brown was not ready to play for Florida, and Jack Miller was unable to even practice or hold a Nerf ball, a child's Nerf ball with his surgically repaired thumb at that point. So
you could have caught a punt. You could have caught a slant from him at that point.
No, he would have had to throw it left-handed. So yeah, definitely would have caught that one if it was anywhere near me. But I think Anthony and I for some reason, wins and losses become quarterback stats. It's not, the left guard wins and losses aren't quarterback stats. And I think so many people were just tired of Anthony because Florida went 6-7, because Florida lost to Vanderbilt, forgetting that there's 35 other people that played in that game that weren't named Anthony Richardson. But for some reason, quarterbacks, they get all the credit and all the blame. Their biggest stat line is wins and losses, and I don't think they get more credit than they deserve at times. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, so quarterbacks get more credit than they deserve sometimes, and more blame than they deserve in a lot of cases. So that'll probably be the case for Graham Mertz. If Florida goes 5-7 this year, it'll be, well, Graham Mertz stinks, and it's like, well, there's a defense, and Graham Mertz doesn't play that. Graham Mertz didn't allow those touchdowns to be scored unless it's a pick six. And Graham Mertz isn't blocking for himself or catching his passes. He's not running the football. So wins and losses are team stats that just get thrown on quarterbacks.
No doubt. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, we're focusing on Mertz. This is still a quarterback competition that has not been decided or announced yet, but I think I see where it's trending. And we'll see how that plays out once we get to fall training camp. Before we get to our final segment, I want to give a shout out to our final sponsor. And I want to encourage all Florida fans to go check out rogueshop.com. If you have issues sleeping, chronic pain, and or anxiety and stress, Rogue Shop sells CBD, THC edibles, smokables, and vapes, as well as handcrafted bath salts, soaps, candles, massage oils, pain creams, and topicals. Rogue Shop is a true small business, disabled, veteran-owned, Black-owned, woman-owned company. They have 5 employees, make all of their own products with their own cannabis grown in their manufacturing facility. So visit rogueshop.com. That's RUGUE shop.com. And
a little personal testimony there, Zach. Getting back in the gym, trying to get back in my fighting shape for the wedding. I will note this. I'll say the joke after. We're training for Murph, which is it's a mile run, 300 air squats, 200 push-ups, and 100 pull-ups, then a mile run after that. So we're getting training for Murph later this month. That topical pain cream, that CBD cream, feels great. Throw that on, shower before you go to bed, feel great in the morning. On the note, though, I told my fiance this, on the note of getting in shape for the wedding, everyone wants nice pictures. I told her it's kind of like putting a pool in your backyard, like renovating your house and then not inviting anyone over to get into the pool or to see the renovations. And it just seems a little silly to me.
I think that you need to get her, that should be part of the your wedding gift. It's be some items from rogueshop.com.
Yeah. Well, you gotta use our discount code. Get that little save me some money and let them know that people are using it.
No doubt. Well, Nick, we know that Florida is using the transfer portal, and they've been staying busy over the past few weeks, as we know, evaluating transfers, but now hosting them on campus. And this past week, the Gators had their second official visitor from the transfer portal who entered this spring, and that was former Houston running back Alton McCaskill, who came in and spent the weekend in Gainesville. Did not have an opportunity to catch up with him. I don't think that he's done any interviews really since since entering the portal, and I think he's taken a couple visits now. But as soon as it was out, Nick, that he was visiting, a lot of Florida fans had some different reactions to that. What was yours, and what do you feel like is the significance of them bringing him to campus for this visit?
It's big. 3 years of eligibility left. I said on our message board, Florida, likes to move very quietly in the transfer portal. And I told them, like, Florida tells guys not to put out that you got an offer. Like, you have it, but like, we don't want you to put it out. And like 7 hours later, he tweeted that he had an offer, and people, of course, are throwing that in my face. I'm like, listen, this dude can do whatever he wants. He's going to have his offer. I get the frustration.
Not one of the ones that you say, hey, don't put your offer.
Yeah, I get the frustration though from Florida fans, because as I go through these, position room by position room breakdowns, the best room on offense or defense is your running back room. So Florida fans are looking at the quarterback room and coveting quarterbacks from all walks of life. They're looking at the XFL and being like, hey, does that guy have any eligibility left? Because we could use a quarterback. And it seemed like Billy Napier was like, I hear you. What about another running back? So I get the frustration, but you have to look at this in terms of the NFL. Running back is not a highly coveted or sought after position. There were a couple guys drafted in the first round, but those are special guys. And I think you're going to see that they're fewer and far between as the NFL changes the rules to make it to really make it a passing league and a high scoring league. So you're not going to get a huge first contract in terms of NFL money. You're trying to get to that second contract. So a guy like Montrell Johnson, who has had a ton of carries as a freshman, a ton of carries as a sophomore, and will have a ton of carries as a junior. It doesn't matter if I'm a first round pick. I'll be a second or third round pick. I need to get to that second contract and not put another 320 carries on my legs at Florida next year. So I think you lose Cam Carroll. I think you lose Montrell Johnson. You have a guy in Alton McCaskill who makes your team better. It's a talent acquisition business. Acquire this talent. He has 3 years of eligibility left too. If he comes to Florida, that's your 1-2 punch with Trevor Etienne in 2024.
Yeah.
So I understand the fans' frustration. Alton McCaskill doesn't play quarterback. Florida fans want a quarterback. But to not be excited about this guy coming on campus or potentially signing with you, I think it's just a little short-sighted. This Florida roster needs talent. Is running back a place where you need talent? Yes, because you need talent everywhere, but it's not one of the main needs. It's not one of the position groups that needs it. But if you look down the line, he will be on campus in 2024 when you'll need somebody to pair with Trevor Etienne and Trayon Webb.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And look, all Billy Napier has to do is pull up his film from 2019 when Louisiana had the nation's number 6 rushing offense and say, check this film out. I think there's still plenty of carries to go around. That's what they sold Cam Carroll on coming to UF4. And if the Gators don't add Alton, I think their running back room is still fine and still great. But you add him, I mean, to be honest, now Webb is redshirting. He's taking probably carries away from Carroll, and he's might even taking carries away from the top 2 guys, who still would be the top 2 guys. But, like, he's another weapon amongst weapons now. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's clear that they are not going to hesitate to add talent to that room because that's going to be their bread and butter. In fact, Jabbar Jaluk was asked in the spring if they were going to pursue a fifth running back. And he straight up said, if it's the right fit. He said, we're not just going to take a guy just to say we're taking a guy. We want to make sure if it's the right fit that comes about. But we've talked about it. We normally have 5 scholarships running backs. That's true. So we just want to go out there and put the best foot forward, whoever that may be. And now we know that is Alton McCaskill. But clearly he was saying back then, hey, man, if there's someone that fits the criteria, we're going to go after for them. And this guy fits the bill for sure.
Yeah. So I understand. I understood the outrage initially, but when you look into it, if you can add a player like this, you absolutely extend the offer, extend the official visit, send the PJ, do whatever you got to do.
Well, Nick, I don't think that there was any outrage about the news this week on Antonio Carter because as Florida fans know that they need help in the secondary, and they've already addressed that with the addition of R.J. Moten. But clearly, we see that they are not done. They had went and offered the former Louisiana cornerback Trey Amos, who has since committed to Alabama. They've evaluated some other guys in the portal, but now we know that they've officially offered and now scheduled for a visit former Rhode Island defensive back Antonio Carter. Now, I gotta do a little humble brag, Nick. If you're reading Gators Online and checking out the mailbag, April 18th, this was a name that I threw out there and said this is one to keep an eye on because he just checked too many boxes. A 2-year starter, a guy that had production, an Orlando native. So he's got obviously ties to Florida. And then you looked at his early offer sheet, which was Kentucky and Texas A&M and some other schools. If Mark Stoops is offering you a scholarship, you can play defense. I'm sorry. I think that he's earned that. So I knew right away when that was one of his first offers that this is going to be a guy that Florida would probably take a look at. And now they're making a run at him. And Nick, poor Kentucky. They jump on first, and then they get left behind. They get left at the altar.
Bro, that's a tough scene. Tough scene for that basketball school up there in the bluegrass. Jumped on early, had an OV set up. All of a sudden, the caller ID shows Baton Rouge. The caller ID shows Gainesville. And
Notre Dame.
And Mark Stoops gets that that declined wedding that went on the wedding website and just had to hit decline. Sorry, won't be able to attend that weekend. So my bad.
Even though I was in the wedding.
Yep. Yeah. They lost the groomsmen. They lost the groomsmen the week before the wedding. It's funny that that happens. And credit Mark Stoops. I agree with you. Like they have great evaluations, especially on defense, and he knows the type of guy he wants. I mean, we've seen Kentucky's defense and what they've been able to do to a Dan Mullen offense and then to Billy Napier's offense last year. He knows defense. And I think this is a guy for Florida. When I look at that nickel spot, I don't think that the Jaden Hill experiment went well in the spring. It's a whole different type of player to play outside versus inside. Jadarius Perkins has tweeted, he has since locked his Twitter account, so I couldn't put it in the story, but tweeted that he's the best nickel in the country. I think Antonio Carter is a guy who will come in and immediately challenge him to start at nickel. And that's a position I just wrote about yesterday that since 2018, we can go biblical, Zach. Florida's been wandering through the desert, waiting for some manna to fall from the sky and to fill that role that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson left. And it's just been a bunch of
They haven't found a star.
Bunch of Jags.
No star.
Just a guy that have not found a star. And they've been shooting themselves looking for a star at that star position. And I don't know if Antonio Carter is Chauncey Gardner or Brian Poole. Even Brian Poole was the Chauncey before him. And you kind of had – and so you had Brian Poole and
shout out to Duke Dawson before Chauncey.
Yeah. So there used to be a stigma on nickel because it was Revis Island. It was Patrick Peterson. Put me on that corner out there, put me on the number one guy. And the nickel was thought of as like, you weren't good enough to play on either outside. So we'll just throw you inside. And the way the NFL has changed, everything kind of trickles down. Now you've got 4 or 5 wides are normal. Nickel sets, nickel defenses are base defenses. Essentially. You've got to have 5 and 6 DBs on the field to match what guys are doing. And Chauncey, Brian Poole showed you can make a lot of money being a nickelback. It's no longer, the stepchild of the defensive backfield anymore. So it's an important position. You have to be versatile covering, the Ricky Pearsalls of the world, but also the Brock Bowers of the world. Good luck. You're covering very different types of people in that spot. So it takes a versatile guy. And I'll be interested to see if Antonio Carter comes to Florida, if he can fill that role for the Gators.
No doubt. And he's certainly a guy that when you look at his background, makes a lot of sense as someone that could potentially fill in at the star spot, because honestly, I think you could plug him in at any position in the secondary. He's played cornerback at Rhode Island. He's played safety at Rhode Island. 6'1", 200 pounds. He's kind of right. He kind of has the makeup and the skill set that you want of a guy that can cover, but is physical enough to play safety. So we'll see what happens. He's set to visit Florida. He not only canceled that trip to Kentucky as well, he had a couple others that were scheduled that he was set to make visits to. In addition, he was going to go to Texas A&M. He was going to go to Iowa. And now all 3 of those trips are off in favor of Notre Dame, where he arrived on Wednesday, LSU, which will be next, and Florida, which will be last. So the Gators get the final visit, which I think will be important. He's already been to Wisconsin and Ole Miss, but again, I want to point this out, Nick, because this was obviously a topic of conversation last week, and I think this is a great example of Billy Napier and his staff and their process of how they go about with the portal. And this was a guy that entered way back on April 16th. A bunch of schools started offering him right out of the gate. Florida's process is different. Now, I don't know that they do this with everyone, Nick, but I know that they do this with a lot of kids. And that is, they will ask you to send them workout videos specifically that they've asked you to go out and do. Like, not something that you've already had that you can send them. Like, no, go out to a field, have someone put a phone on you, and we want to see you do these drills. We want to see how you move. And a lot of recruits, and I would imagine some transfers, don't care to do that, especially when they're already getting offers from school. So that is the process that Billy and his staff take. A lot of people might have some different opinions on that. It would be, interesting to get Billy's, but I think at the very least, it shows some interest there if a guy's going to actually take that step and go out and do that, maybe when he doesn't even need to, that he might be really interested in Florida. And that is what, in this case, Antonio did. They asked him to go do these workouts. He went out and did them. He sent them the videos, and then they were really interested. And then they officially offered him this past Monday and scheduled the official visit. So in this case, the fact that they took their time, that they did more of an evaluation than most schools, it didn't cost them the kid. Even though that he set up some other visits beforehand, he ended up canceling those schools so that he could go to visit Florida. Now, as Billy said, there's going to be some situations where it don't work out like that. And a kid's going to say, you know what, I'm going with these schools that I've already been set up with. I'm not waiting on y'all. I'm not doing any workout videos. And Billy says, hey, if it doesn't work out, so be it. We're going to stick to our guns and going about our evaluation process. And I think this is at least one where, it worked out for them.
Well said.
Of course, we'll see how it ends out. But in terms of missing out on a visit and getting the guy to campus, it didn't cost them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But if he doesn't make a visit after that Notre Dame trip, Zach, those words sounded pretty. Listen, you can agree with it or disagree with it.
Now, to be fair, Notre Dame and LSU just offered him this week as well.
You can agree with it or disagree with it. This is how they move. This is how they operate.
That's how they move, Nick.
So it is. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I've said in the last 2 weeks. I'm not talking about 3 weeks in a row, Zach. This was your stage. I said my piece 3 weeks ago now, and then last week clarified some things. Yeah, it is what it is. This is how they operate. They love evaluating. I think Billy Napier. Obviously, I think one of the biggest things for him is just making a positive impact on the lives of 18, 19, 22-year-old people. But he's a ball coach. He loves evaluating. He loves breaking down film. He loves trying to figure out what a player is currently, what they can be, and then loves the process, being involved in the process of getting them from point A to point B. They're not going to give up that evaluation process. And you might miss out on some guys, and I think they're okay with that. Hey, we need to be sure before we move and make permanent moves. You might miss out on some guys because of that.
For Florida fans, and for Florida fans that might not want to hear that, have you seen the secondary play? I mean, they better make sure that whoever they add to that room is going to be legit. And if they need a guy to go out on the field and send them some workout videos, then that's what it's going to take. And if you don't want to do it and you don't want to send it, then, what do you – if you don't have anything to hide, then why not go do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're going to get a guy – you're going to get a type of guy who if you would have told, if I had the opportunities that Antonio Carter had, 19, 20-year-old Nick would have told a coach, if I'm holding 20 offers, I would have told a coach who asked me to go run outside. I'd be like, why don't you go outside and kick rocks? You're going to get guys like me. I was a prima donna. I was a dramatic. I thought a lot of myself. You're going to get guys like, if you would have asked like Ventrell Miller to do that. Yeah, coach. And he probably would have tackled somebody, would have tackled the mailman and thrown that into it as well. Like so you're going to get different guys handling it differently. Maybe they don't want the guy like me who would have told them to kick rocks. What do you mean? USC offered, Notre Dame offered, Kentucky offered, Alabama offered. They didn't ask me to go outside and do up downs for you. That's ridiculous. But you're going to have a guy who says, okay, that's how I want to be coached. I don't want to rely on what I've done or what you've heard of me or what you think of me. I like that you're challenging me as an athlete. And maybe that's the kind of guy, that's the guy they want in the locker room. I don't think Billy would have offered me a scholarship.
There's no doubt. Well, I know you want to talk about this, Nicholas, and that is the Gators wrapping up their regular season. I know it's been a grind for you, my friend, week after week, series after series, and we've come to the end of the road for the regular season.
Boys to men.
And the Gators are looking for some bounce back because things did not go well, despite some history that was made. Yeah,
Florida loses 2 of 3 after winning Friday. Loses 2 of 3 to Texas A&M. Winning, it's only their second loss, series loss of the year. But you had a great opportunity because Vanderbilt lost their series. South Carolina loses their series. So you had a chance to move up in the rankings in the SEC. Florida right now sits 4th. Just a missed opportunity. I don't think it was a bad loss. Texas A&M really needed to, after losing that Friday game, they had 9 games or 8 games left, and they probably needed to win 5 of those 8 games left. So you're playing a team that's desperate to make the postseason. A team who was one of the 8 teams to go to Omaha last year is now fighting for its postseason life. So you backed a predator up to a corner and didn't think it was going to try to fight its way out of it. So I think that's what it was. It was a desperate A&M team who showed up, pitched and hit and played really well on Saturday, Sunday to take that series. Regardless, Florida has another great opportunity this week. When the schedule comes out, the first thing I do is scroll and look to see where Vanderbilt is. It comes now. Florida trails Vanderbilt. They're second in the East. Vanderbilt is tied for first in the entire SEC. A sweep of Vanderbilt would put Florida in first place in the SEC. A 2-1 series win would tie them with a tiebreaker over Vanderbilt. So this is just a massive weekend for the Gators. It's always huge when Florida and Vanderbilt baseball play, but you've got some serious implications for hosting, with Florida probably in that 6, 7, 8 range of national seeds. You want to be in the top 8 because that gets you lets you stay at home for the super regionals and the regionals. Florida will undoubtedly host a regional. I mean, last year they hosted a regional, so they're pretty locked into hosting a regional. They probably have to lose out to miss out on that, and that's not going to happen. A series win at Vanderbilt and a series win on the road next week at Kentucky locks Florida in my opinion, as a super regional host, as a top 8 seed. So you got to get 2 out of 3 at least this weekend at home, and it'll be senior weekend. Florida has those aforementioned 8. If you're still listening to this, that means you're probably still interested in baseball. Check out, I'll have a story. Had a really cool opportunity to talk to BT Riopel, Kevin O'Sullivan, and Dwayne Riopel on Tuesday this week in person. Nice. So a nice little, it is Mother's Day, but have a nice little father-son story coming down the pipeline on Friday to preview BT and his career as his baseball playing days are winding down here.
And also, as we wrap up the show, got to give a shout out to Jack for breaking the single season home run record for the Gators. That was a cool graphic that they put out this week, and it's just more history that we got to see made here, Nick. And I know there's been some
it's super unfortunate. We're sitting there and I'm talking to Sullivan Bortner, who's the SID. I wasn't in College Station, but he is. And that Saturday game just starts getting out of hand. Florida ends up getting run ruled. And I remember Wyatt Langford was up, and I texted him and I said, Jack's going to break the home run record in this game because Florida's down 10 runs. And it's going to be the most anticlimactic, worst situation possible to do it. And it's going to ruin it's going to ruin everything. And Jack's next at bat, boop, ball out to left center. I'm just like, what a like, obviously it's an amazing accomplishment. He's a single season home run king. He's going to hit more home runs. He's not done hitting home runs. Florida has 6 more games in the regular season. Then you have the NCAA tournament, the SEC tournament in Hoover. I'll be out there bringing my dad to Hoover with me, Zach. So we'll enjoy that trip together. But Jack's got a chance to hit 30, 35 home runs. The record's 48. So, like, that's a lot of home runs to hit. But it was almost like you were pulling for him to, like, strike out. You're like, this isn't the game to do it in. Not when you're down, 12-2.
Yeah, man. It was it was, like you said, anticlimactic. The only positive that they got from that day, obviously.
It was the only positive from Saturday was Jack Toney hitting his 27th.
So we'll see if they can get some more this weekend. Again, this will be Florida's final regular season home series that they'll have. They'll be on the road next weekend at Kentucky. But again, as Nick said, they'll be hosting a regional, so you'll be able to be back in the ballpark. But make sure if you can get out there for one of these games, this is going to be a matchup that you want to see. So make sure that you stay locked with Gators Online for all of Nick's coverage from Conjuring Family Ballpark, from the recruiting trail as Corey and Nick stay busy, and then obviously for Nick and I, we are tracking this transfer portal. Still going on for football, still going on for basketball as well. So make sure that you guys stay locked with Gators Online. We'll see you guys next week. For Nick Del Torre, I'm Zach Albaverdi.